This is Talk Radio with your host, the Reverend Dr. Gilberto Rosado. Today we have a dual broadcast. We usually just broadcast on YouTube, but we're on Facebook too. And today we'll be talking about gun control. Should Americans have the right to bear arms? We're going to discuss it and hopefully lay it to rest in the minds of many. Today, Talk Radio, news, commentary, entertainment. Join us. Well, in light of the recent events here in Orlando, we're broadcasting from Orlando. This question of gun control is once again brought into the limelight, if not by sensibility, definitely by the President of the United States, who continually points at gun control laws as being the reason that these type of killings and terrorism exists, at least on this side of the Atlantic. So today, I hear so many people opining about gun control that we're going to deal with this today, and we're going to deal with it fairly. But I want all you listeners to also deal with it fairly. Don't be biased. Understand. That's one of the things we do here at Talk Radio, is this is about understanding. So we're not here to preach to you. We're not here to promote a certain agenda. We're here to, we have an agenda. It's called understanding. And that's what we're trying to do. So we're going to try to help you understand a few things. And that we just can't go by parroting what you see on Facebook or what you see on YouTube or what you hear on the radio, your favorite newscasts. You have to really start thinking for yourself. And we have to look at the reasons we are here as a country, the United States of America. And you have to look at the history of civilization, human civilization. Either you have your basis in faith and God, or you have your basis in science and evolution. The development of countries, nations, of civilizations, of villages, all have the same parameters. And of course, certain geographical and socio-political, cultural differences exist, differences that permeate even in the evolutionary process, in terms of there being those of us who are more advanced in our thinking and in our particular manner in which we live or wish to live. And those who are still back in another time and another era, and where they have a more basic view of life and a necessity to have things in a certain way, which may not be palatable for those that are from another culture and in another socio-geo and social political environment. Basically, it's to say that we have the third world, the difference between the third world and the first world, if you will, way of doing things, or the Western civilization, let's put it that way. So in this case, what is this thing about gun control? The question you have to ask first, and we have to use our reasoning, is if there were no guns, let's eliminate guns from the table. If there were no guns, would this thing would have happened anyway? Would have, and then look at if somebody wanted to kill other people, Are there ways to kill people without a gun? Is this a simple question? You see, this is a simple question. And the obvious answer to that is that, of course, there are ways to kill people, and to kill people in a in a massive way, without having a gun, without having any, a rifle or automatic rifle, or what have you, machine gun. I mean, are there other ways to kill people and to be effectively kill people? And the simple answer to that, and everyone on both sides of this argument has to agree that the answer is yes. That we have the answers being yes, that's already one reason that this issue of gun law shouldn't be brought up in these type of circumstance, not broadly at least. I mean, there is a reason, and a good one, and even President Obama did mention it, and I applaud him for bringing that aspect. And I don't think people are picking up on it too much, because most of you guys who are in favor of gun control, and which I wouldn't call gun control, I call it eliminating guns from the population. Those of you who are for that, I don't think you're hearing President Obama when he says precisely, right? He mentioned that a person with this mental health history. It's important that we understand that this person that did this crime and this terrorist act had an underpinning or an underlying factor, which has to do with his mental health. I mean, you can see it in the pictures. You look at him, and those of you who have experience working with people who are depressed, people who are bipolar, he has the classic excuse me, the classic manifestations of a person that is suffering from bipolar and depression. That, together with his background and with social experiences as he's developed throughout his life, culminate in this type of behavior. All throughout life, most of the teenagers that you deal with who are suffering from depression, they go through this rebellion, and normally teenagers go through rebellion as well. But the depressive mind really, and the bipolar particularly, has extremes. They get extremely happy and engaged in certain things, and then on the other token, or the other side of the coin, they get extremely disengaged and sullen and depressed and saddened, and also to the point of self-destruction. And before a person destroys himself, they could easily, lunge out and attack someone or destroy something else and property. So you have those extremes, and this has to be realized. Obviously, gun control is necessary. We have to have gun control. The question here is, why wasn't there gun control for someone who was mentally deficient? Gun controls that when someone is having or has had a history of mental health issues that have been already shown to eventually potentially lead to the harming of oneself or of other people, why are we allowing this person to purchase a weapon? So that's the issue. I don't think it's a question that we need to go to eliminate guns from the population, from regular good folk that need to have a gun. And before you go off and say, why do they need to have a gun? I'm going to explain the reason why people need to have guns. But the first thing is that we need to accept the fact that the gun control laws have to deal first at this point with those who have mental issues. I mean, if a person has mental issue, they should not be given a permit to carry a weapon. Number two, if a person's been called in by the FBI and questioned or making threats or insinuating anything against the government or against the president of the United States, has some leniency or favoritism or anything that indicates sympathies with a foreign government that is particularly on a list of being an enemy, being a potential origin of terror and of attacks on this country, should not be allowed to carry a weapon, should not be allowed to be given a license in any degree, or to even work around weapons. So this is an obvious fix or a modification that should be implemented as soon as possible. So according to in that sense, I think that's reasonable. I don't think anyone, even those who are against gun control, I don't even think that they would be against such a measure. I think that is a reasoned approach. But then now let's go to the other side. The other side wants to use gun control to eliminate weapons from the general population. Americans have a right to bear arms. This need to defend, why is it that we have a right to bear arms? And this right is not germane. It is, but you don't see it that way, but it's not germane really to those who live in the city, in the big cities. And the reason for that is as humans drew together to live in the big city, they became interdependent, meaning that you depend on someone else and upon in your community to help you and defend you in times of emergency or in times of danger. And so what you do is that you react or defend yourselves as a community in the big city. But when you leave the big city, you're in the small town USA, and even further beyond that many Americans do live, in rather or relatively isolated conditions. The need for a weapon increases dramatically. It's a serious need. It's an urgent need. And that's why this issue of a federal or a national determination as to the rights to bear arms, and negating it because it was already given to us, is something we all have by virtue of being an American citizen. And so for the national government, federal government, to go and then to try to whittle away at that right is a slap in the face, really, and a spitting in the face to people who live by themselves, who live in rural areas, who need to survive and need to have some feeling of security to defend themselves and defend their property. And again, that is our right. If we were solitary creatures, if we were in the jungle, whatnot, our main priority would be survival. And in order to survive, we need to defend ourselves and defend our shelters and whatnot. And if that meant to kill someone trying to take what is ours, that's the law of nature. We're talking here about the law of nature. And so again, when you're living in the big city, you're not living in a natural state. You're living in a community, in a state that is fostered by a multitude, a population. And the role, you see, what's happened is that as humans gather together, their evolutionary and independent roles change and become a role that is shared or attributed, given to certain individuals. So then instead of the big city dweller, instead of you defending your own home and property, now we have a police force. We have people who are dedicated to protecting us and protecting our home and whatnot. So, again, let's look at that. It's fine. We have that in Orlando here as well. Orlando has a police department. It has sheriffs. It has emergency response personnel. So what happened this weekend? What happened is that this area, which was gun controlled, it was restricted to fire. Firearms were not permitted in this area. But again, that's the law. We're dealing with someone who's not following the law, which is always the case. That's the thing we have to worry about. It's the one who's not following the law. They're breaking the law. So this individual goes in and he commits these crimes, and of course the police are called, the sheriff is called. So then put yourself in these poor people's places. Let's take ourselves and put ourselves in that club, in those bathrooms, in that bathroom, wherever it was that they were, after those who survived the initial shootings found themselves, and think, knowing that it's going to take the police, your defenders, those who are charged with holding weapons to defend us and to protect our lives and our property, and realize, knowing that it will be 3 hours before they eventually break down the door and rush this fool and criminal that's trying to take your life away, and take the life of your child, and take the life of your wife or of your son, of your husband, whatever is the case. Because the bottom line is that this is what this is about. 3 hours. 3 hours. Right? Now, though that's the result of the take away guns from Americans philosophy. Because you can take away our weapons and our defenses, and you leave us defenseless, and you tell us, we will protect you. We have people, we have trained professionals that will protect you. Just call 911 or 999 or whatever country the number is in your country, or wherever your part of the world is. Just call us. We'll take care of you. And we have to wait till you get there. And if we survive that initial wait, we see that oftentimes we have to wait another 3 hours or so. I'm using this as an example, waiting either for the killer to kill us, to finish us off. I'm sure a lot of people died bleeding away for 3 hours. No one wants to talk about that. But, if you hear the news, you'll think that people died instantly. They were shot, they fell down, they're dead. No, many of those people were still alive. But of course, in 3 hours' time, they bled to death. They died of their injuries because there's no medical attention. See, that's what those 3 hours did as well. It wasn't just the killer who killed 50 folk and wounded 53. It's that a lot of that 50 or 49 people who are eventually now proclaimed dead or declared dead, some of those might have been alive for a while. Of course, while the police were outside waiting, and I'm not criticizing the police. It's not the police. It's not an issue that the police were at fault. Understand that. This is an issue that you are taking guns away from the American people and asking us to wait. That's what the issue is. I don't blame the police. They sacrifice their lives every day. They're another one. They have arms and they sacrifice their lives. But you're asking Americans to give up their arms and to wait. You see, this is the thing that it just doesn't sit well. I don't think anyone, and any one of you who want gun control, or rather that you want to eliminate guns from Americans, eliminate the right for an American to bear arms, I don't think you are putting yourself in the proper perspective that you need to be put in. You need to consider that you're there in this nightclub waiting. You're either bleeding out or the killer is approaching the door to that bathroom and is going to shoot and kill you. That's where you have to put yourself now and tell me and tell yourself that you don't want Americans to protect themselves and have arms, number one. And number two, that you realize that making a gun law to eliminate guns from people does not take away the gun from the criminal. Does not take away the guns from illegal people possessing arms illegally. We have drugs in this country illegally entering the country. Now, what will happen when you eliminate guns from the Americans can now no longer purchase any guns? What do you think will happen? See, because you have to go there. You have to think. Drugs are illegal. Are they still coming in? Do we still have drug addicts? Are our children dying of drug overdoses still today? Well, guess what's going to happen when you make guns illegal? We've already done this, folks. It's already been done with other things, and we've seen the result. So all you're doing is creating a black market, and you're going to have terrorists. We're talking about terrorism here. You know what they're going to do? They're going to start selling guns under the table. Terrorists are bringing in from a Mexico, and bringing it through the borders that we have that are like Swiss cheese, and they'll be selling guns like hotcakes. Okay, that's all that's going to happen. So again, having the gun control law, right now you call it gun control, it's laughable. I mean, that's a problem, because the things that should be controlled are not being controlled. Okay, and then all you're doing is disarming people who should have been armed. If these people at the nightclub, if some of them were armed, this would not have gone down like it did. This definitely would not have taken 3 hours to resolve. That is also true. Okay, so what is the government afraid of? What is the government afraid of? And we're going to talk to that after this message. We're going to talk about what the government is really afraid of, and something that you really need to understand. Listen to this announcement. Hello friends, this is the Reverend Dr. Gilberto Rosado. I'm presenting to you today this job training and resume improvement service. It is entitled Earn While You Learn. And you'll be learning 5 modules in this course. These 5 modules will teach you and certify you in 5 career areas. They are university and school recruitment, network team building for business, organic SEO and social media specialist, affiliate program development, and geo-based sales and lead generation. Who should take this course? Is any one of you who are unemployed? Are you underemployed? You're not making enough money, and especially that you have abilities and you know that you should be earning more money. And everyone that is not satisfied with their job or financial state, absolutely. This course includes online interactive interaction with your live instructor will provide you with on-the-job experience, and teach you the technology. So you actually be working while you're learning. So the things that you're learning, you'll be using and working, doing the job, learning the job, and seeing your results. This is all part of your course. It includes content management systems, software, and job gaining techniques in each of the 5 high paying careers which are in high demand and in which you can become an independent contractor or even start your own business. So there's 3 outcomes on each of these modules. You can get a job in them, just simply work for someone, a company. You can also be an independent contractor, and you can also start your own business. So you get 3 benefits from each of the modules. That makes it 15 opportunities, ways to apply your learning. Fantastic opportunity here. What you get are 5 frameable certificates, work experience referrals, transcripts sent upon request, school help in finding a job, earn income while you are learning. You remain earning income as an independent contractor even after finishing the program. You get business startup assistance, full school and program support throughout your career, continued ed program, and discounted or even free future add-ons and more. Now, this is a great opportunity. How many times do you see something like this come your way? You have 5 modules. Each of the modules consists of 16 2-hour sessions. Our online course features lesson outlines, assignment lists and explanations, glossary, keys to the study, online reference resources, video and audio lecture, other multimedia resources, chat client and or voice chat for instructor lectures and Q&A, on-screen textbook, notepad for your note-taking, email interaction. You get an e-textbook included, and access to archive lesson chats and much more. This is a wonderful opportunity. Address your need right now by calling 407-997-3850. That is 407-997-3850. Start learning and earning. Call 407-997-3850. We're continuing with our discussion on gun control, and we're going to talk about what the government is afraid of, really, and why they want to take the guns away from you Americans. They're afraid that you will be able to defend yourself, to protect yourself. Well, it's not just an issue of defending yourself as if the government is going to come and attack you. That's not the issue. What's the real issue is that there are too many people who just do not understand. This is an issue of understanding. What the government is seeing, and what psychologists know, what people in the know, is that many Americans are not that bright. And it's not just Americans, but people around the world. We're having a de-evolution of intellectual proclivities, of people who are able to reason for themselves, to do and think rationally, even when upset. We have people who blow a fuse. You don't know how to handle life. And you're already, as teenagers, you're taking drugs, you're drinking, you're partying, and all of this stuff leads, or indicates rather, that you have a lack of ability of dealing and coping with life. that you need to find resolution in outside things. One of those things is fighting back, taking vengeance of someone who did you or that you perceive did you wrong. We see it in the schoolyards. You guys see it in the city. The people fighting, bullying, stalkers. You see this issue with this singer just in, I believe it was, what was it, Miami or Orlando? No, in Orlando too, where she was killed by this stalker. People in the marriages, they break apart, or relationships, and then you have a situation where if I can't have you, no one else will. And God forbid that they have easy access to guns, which according to Obama they do. But we saw even recently in which airport was that, in Texas, the small of the two airports there, where this guy, the ex-husband or ex-boyfriend, attacked the woman not with a gun but with a rock. Like I said, you don't need a gun to kill people. You don't need a gun to get upset and do something stupid. But the issue is that people do stupid things. That is the issue at hand, and there's a lot more people doing stupid things than there are people doing good and reasoned and things that benefit mankind. That's the bottom line. And this is the reality and the real impetus behind the gun control effort to de-arm the American citizen. Okay? That is why that's going on. But there's another problem that this causes, and that is that it leaves Americans defenseless. We're living in a world that basically we have a few countries that if they fought it out, it's a coin toss-up as to who will win, who will come out winning, and which would leave the countries and this country also in a situation of societal decay. Our infrastructure would collapse. Even with a natural disaster, we don't need a war to do this. All you need is a massive natural disaster, a change of the state of things, and in our environment, in our solar system. A solar flare can knock out this broadcast of sense and reason and leave you guys to your own devices. This is what really is a danger. And the government, I guess, is hoping that even if an attack comes to the United States or a natural disaster knocks most of us out off the grid, I believe that the government has a strategy, a plan that will have them survive, have some form of government survive it, and be able or to attempt to regain or maintain some type of civilization, some type of order, some type of national identity in a midst of chaos. And the last thing they need are people running around trying to survive with guns in their hands. Okay? See, I can understand that. I understand that. But in the same token, it's the human right and the human impetus to survive. So, in a sense, they are creating a situation that if something should occur, because we have to trust them to protect us, But if something should occur where their protection is not available, knocked out, or delayed, we're left defenseless. We're unable to defend our home and defend our family, our neighbors. Not because there's great people. Americans are great people, and they will go out and defend their neighbors' property. They will go out and defend their communities, but they need something to do it with. And we know that the criminals, the thugs, the illegal factor, the terrorists, or an invading army will have weapons. They will have guns. Who is and how are we to defend ourselves? Even the people in the big city, how are you going to defend yourself? When the great possibility is that many in the armed, many who are legally armed and many who are uniformed and supposed to defend and protect society, when everything goes down the tube, again, the primary issue will be to safeguard themselves. And you saw a little bit of that in the 3-hour wait in Orlando. We saw a little bit of that. Let's be frank. And I don't blame them. They have to protect it. That father and that mother has to go home to their kid, okay? No matter what dumb people are out there. So I'm not condemning the police or the wait period, but I'm just pointing out that a wait period was sensible. But what's not sensible is that we have a defenseless population. That's what doesn't make any sense. So the taking away of arms from the citizenry, I think, is reckless in light of today's world. That should have been done a while back, where we had no fear of being attacked or any enemy coming across to defeat us, or even this terrorism thing. But now, the way the world is, it's an air flight away from any point on the earth. We're just an hour, a few hours away. People can walk across the border. We have enough outside influence within our own neighborhoods and within our own cities. We can get attacked from within. And you're taking away. They have weapons. See, they can get guns. But the American citizen, the law-abiding citizen, will have no weapons to defend themselves. And if there is a government, if there is any authority and any order, after whatever happens, natural or by enemy or by whatever, we, as an American citizen, will not have any way to survive and have hope of waiting even for 3 hours for help to come and for someone to come to our defense. So I think it's a little irresponsible for the government. I'm sorry. I don't like to criticize my government, but they're really trying to create a society that has no way to defend itself and even to defend the country, because the right to bear arms was written into our rights because it was a vital aspect of our nation being born and our nation becoming a bona fide independent country and state. Because people, the population, the residents, the community would they had arms and they were able to go out and defend their country and their right to exist. And I think that this government and any government that takes away the right for its citizens to even defend their own country I think you're asking for your own self-annihilation. And that's my warning today on Talk Radio. What do you think? I think it's time for you guys to tune into this conversation and to make a statement. Think about what I said. Think about what could happen. And think with reasoning. Defend this country. Defend what we stand for. This is Talk Radio. The Reverend Dr. Gilberto Rosado. News, commentary, entertainment, at least my own brand. Write your comments below. Tell me what you think. This is America after all. Freedom of speech. Yeah!